Hello, welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly, and I'm so excited to create with you today this two-page layout featuring our Cape Cod workshop kit. Cape Cod is our featured collection in July, and it has this beachy, vacation, sea, coastal vibe to it, and it's just gorgeous. But I've had some of my paper crafters say, hey, what if we don't do beach? So I thought it might be fun to create this layout and focus on swimming pool or lake or river or some other body of water besides ocean. So I came up with Splish Splash, and I'm excited to create that with you. So with our Cape Cod workshop kit, it includes the paper pack and sticker sheet. Now I have gone over the paper pack and sticker sheet in great depth in a previous video that I'll link in the description that debuted my 10-page Simply Scrap and workshop using that paper pack and sticker sheet. But in the workshop kit, you actually get some additional coordinating cardstock. You get some exclusive pattern papers like this multi-wash, color wash, this Periwinkle wash, and you actually get some what I call punch out or die cut sheets. 3 of them in the Cape Cod workshop kit, that one that has all of these great half circles. Here's another one that is an overlay that has a title within it that you can back, some extra title opportunities, arrows, circles, journaling, banner, and lots of other icons that you can use in your workshop kit. In addition, the workshop kit includes this smaller embellishment kit that's on the right. It's a little bit of an abbreviated kit compared to the full kit on the left-hand side. Now, Close to My Heart likes to keep the cost of their kits pretty commensurate. So when you have a workshop kit that has 3 additional pattern papers plus 3 die-cut sheets, and it has all of those extras in it that help you expand the workshop, like I do from 6 pages to 12 pages, to keep the cost commensurate, a lot of times it will abbreviate the embellishment kit. So you'll get quite a few, but not a full kit. So what I like to do is add the full embellishment kit to even stretch the pages even farther. So what I'm showing you now is what the full embellishment kit looks like. They're super similar. They have similar elements, just one is abbreviated. So in looking at all of the pattern papers and pulling out the photos that I want to use, I have photos of 2 of my 8 grandchildren at the swimming pool. We went to the swimming pool this last weekend. So this is Waylon James, and he is, let's see, 20 months old. He'll be 2 in October, the middle of October. And then we have Claire, who will be in 1st grade in the fall. And I loved going and hanging out with them at the pool. We spent about 5 hours at the pool, and Claire kept doing all these tricks and saying, Grandma, take my picture, Grandma, take my picture. And she was doing all of her little acrobatics, and it reminded me of being a kid. And I think we all did the headstand in the water. And I loved having the pictures of them together, but Claire had a few colors in her swimming suit that were pretty bright. But I thought maybe I could use this exclusive wash paper and create block titles on the Cricut, and create a custom title and be able to use this wash paper to back those Cricut letters. I love to make block letters so simple, so fast, so easy on the Cricut. And up here on the right, I've actually linked a video showing you how to create these letters yourself, fast and easy, in Design Space. But I've also included my free Design Space file with these letters already created if you would like to create Splish Splash and use this on your own and create your own layout with that. Be sure to shoot me a comment and let me know if you use it, and share your photos. I love to see what other people do and their creative take on the things that I've shared. So I've put Splish Splash across this, thinking I'm going to cut this wash paper. I love it so much that I'm going to cut it and then create, maybe splish on one page and splash on the second page. But I'm not exactly seeing it coordinate as well with those pool photos. It has a little bit of melon in it and a little bit of peach in it, along with the Cape Cod blues. But because of that really bright raspberry color and those pinks that are letter in Claire's swimming suit, I thought maybe I might reserve this gorgeous sheet for something else later, because I'll be completing the rest of the workshop, and maybe do a little bit of stamp pad painting with the stamp pad. So stamp pad painting is a wonderful technique that you can use with our stamp pads by just pressing the pads down in the paper and pushing downward, and it really creates this cool wash look that would be so fun for a variety of things, but it does make me think of beach and pool because it's just this really cool wash. So I've pulled out the colors from Cape Cod and also some of the colors that are in that exclusive wash pattern paper that we saw, but I do want to pull in some raspberry, and that's the beauty of paint pad painting, or stamp pad painting, excuse me, is that you can use the original colors that come in the workshop kit and maybe add a color or two that help coordinate your photos to that theme. And I love doing that. Now, this is a technique that we learned at one of our, a couple different, I think we've used it in a couple different album retreats. If you're not familiar with Close to My Heart album retreats, they are an amazing weekend retreat that both customers and makers can sign up for, where you create a whopping 22 pages in a weekend. But better than the 22 pages that you create are all of the on-trend techniques that they teach you during that retreat. It's so technique rich, and it teaches you so many things that you can use in your scrapbooking, your paper crafting, and card making all year through. And it's just an opportunity. So be watching for our album retreats. They have them 4 times a year, and be sure that you check those out. I try to always post about those because it's a wonderful opportunity. So now with the stamp pad painting, I'm loving this. I do feel that the streaks need to be a little thinner, so I probably will do a little masking and mask off and make those streaks a little bit thinner, and I'll pull in the raspberry in Claire's bathing suit to make that coordinate a little bit. So I really need 6 colors, but I'm taking the time to practice. So many times I've felt like I know 100% what I'm going to do, and I've just gone forward and I've done it, and then I end up taking more time by starting over because it ends up not being pleasing to my eye, or there's something that doesn't quite jive. So I typically do take the time it takes. People think maybe it takes a little longer, but it actually saves you time in the long run to practice on scrap paper and really kind of have a sense of direction. So what I'm doing is I'm organizing my stamp pads, because I need 6 colors for Splish Splash, 1 for each letter. And I want to use the core colors that are in Cape Cod, which is our blues and greens color scheme, and then adding in that raspberry. So they did have a little bit of peach and a little bit of melon in that specialty paper that we looked at, and I felt like the peach lent itself better to Claire's bathing suit and the raspberry than the melon. Now, what I decided to do is put my letters, my custom letters that I created on the Cricut, across my 11 by 11 white daisy piece of paper, and actually make some pencil marks, which I found out later was really unnecessary. I actually didn't need to do it, but the reason that I was doing it is so I could kind of gauge how skinny I wanted my strips to be and how much masking off I needed to do. And it ended up being quite easy just to kind of guesstimate those. But if you want to create your pencil marks across, if you're creating along with me, you can do that so that you feel like you have a base. So I'm using an 11 by 11 white daisy piece because I'm super predictable, and I love to put pattern paper, gutted frame pattern paper around the outer edges of my bases. It's my go-to. I think it looks wonderful. It makes a page look finished, and it shows off our pattern papers, and it ties everything in. So now that you can see, I'm using scratch paper to mask off a certain section. It's a little awkward as I'm reaching my arm across across under the camera. So you could actually put these scrap paper pieces in place with washi tape so that you could just come straight down. I'm actually just using my hand and my arm to hold that in place while I'm making the streaks. And I love the way it's coming out. I love the way it's looking. I think this is just going to be a perfect way to tie in and customize my colors. So what I love about our stamp pads is that you can do so many things aside from basic stamping with them. You can use a water brush and do splattering with them, create a little puddle and do some splattering. You can actually color in your thin cuts and your stamping with a water brush and our inks. You can do what we're doing today, where you can actually do stamp pad painting with that. There are so many things that you can do with our stamp pads, and most paper crafters, if they've been with us a while, have at least the basic colors in their arsenal, and they have invested in our basic colors because you can use them for so many things other than just regular stamping. And so it's a great investment to have a set of our colors. And then each year we do change about 5 colors plus the color of the year once a year. So when you have your base, you're just simply adding a few more colors to them each year. And it's a wonderful investment to be able to have those in use for so many things. And close to my heart is amazing at teaching you so many things to do with materials and supplies that you already have in your stash or in your arsenal. So when I got to the end of the 11-inch white daisy, I had a little space left over, and I actually started over with the bluebird. So what we have here is we have bluebird glacier, raspberry periwinkle, lagoon, peach, and then I started over with bluebird, and I didn't like it. I didn't quite like the look, so I cut my white daisy piece down to 10.5 and then started over with the bluebird on the next page. And I actually love it. I think it worked out perfect. So there was one color for each letter, and I'm just pulling the insides of the P and the A off of the Cricut so that I can finish off those letters. I used some leftover foam tape from a shaker window to put on the back of those. My go-to is the rolls of foam tape. I love using the rolls because I am a little bit lazy and I just love to tear. I don't want to have to stop and cut with the scissors, so I just love to tear those pieces in the sizes that I need. So now looking at the wash paper that I originally wanted to use, I'm so excited to be able to use this on something else and stretch my workshop, but I do think that pulling in that raspberry was a good call. It's so bright, it's so fun, it reminds me of the pool, it has a beachy wash look. I think it's going to be just perfect. So now what I want to do is take a moment to decide on the background. I'm of course going to gut a frame so that I'm only using the edges of that 12 by 12 and that I can use the middle of that for something else. And so I'm excited to pick out a really cute frame for the back. So I'm just working through all of the pattern papers that we have in the Cape Cod collection to find the perfect background. Again, another thing that I do take time to do is to actually lay the pattern papers behind. It might seem like an additional step that takes time, but it definitely saves minutes, and I don't want to gut a frame on something and then find out it isn't the right background. So I have the Periwinkle wash, which I'm starting to lean toward, but I did try the Periwinkle anchor as well as the wood grain. It kind of got washed out a little bit with the wood grain, and I didn't really want to use much with the white anchors. I didn't want to have pattern with all the busy patterns, and I really feel like the Periwinkle wash is going to be just perfect. Now, I never pass up an opportunity to do a gutted frame on camera. One of the reasons is because most paper crafters who've been paper crafters for a while could probably do gutted frames in their sleep. It's something that most paper crafters use very, very often because we are conserving parts of the paper. I love being able to have a framed background. It adds so much to a layout, but I don't want to waste an entire 12 by 12 sheet. And gutting frames is actually easy, but if you've never ever done it before and you're looking how to cut out an inner square, it can be a little bit daunting if you're new to paper crafting. So basically, you're going to set your paper trimmer on 1 inch, pop your blade down, go down to the 11-inch mark, rotate, put your blade in at the 1-inch mark, pop your blade in, go down to the 11-inch mark. You're going to rotate and do this on all 4 sides. Now you can create a 1/2-inch frame, a 3/4-inch frame, a 2-inch frame, but a 1-inch frame is typically my go-to because it's easy to calculate. You get a 10 by 10 left over, and it's a very easy frame to create. Now I'm looking at the coordinating cardstocks, and I want to create another background to add a little pop to the white base against the periwinkle wash background. So I'm going to try again all of the colors that I think might work. Another step that I typically do so I don't waste time later. So I have the raspberry, I have a little bit of periwinkle cardstock, and I actually believe I try all of those. And even though the raspberry does go with the photos, it's a little too bright, I think. I think it's just a little bit much. So I'm going to pull that one out. I don't mind the periwinkle. I definitely think the bluebird makes everything pop. I do like the bluebird. So now just a reminder, we cut the white daisy pieces down to 10.5 by 10.5. Here's a look at the glacier. I originally thought that I would just do this background cardstock at 10.75 by 10.75 just to have a small frame, but I changed my mind and thought it would be best to have it be 11 by 11. Here's the lagoon. The reason I wanted 11 by 11 is I wanted a little bit more of it to show. Also, the letters sort of hang off the edges a little bit, and I wanted the letters to have plenty of space with the bluebird background or whatever color background I choose. I did try the toffee because of the skin tones in the photos and the sidewalk in the photos. The toffee would actually go, but I felt like it washed it out, or it was a little bit too blah for all of the colors. So I'm down to the periwinkle and the bluebird, and I definitely go with the bluebird because I think the periwinkle was too much tone on tone. So now I've taken those 2 gutted periwinkle wash frames and I've put them each on their own Versamat because this is going to be a 2-page layout. Love my Versamat. Helps so much. So now I sometimes will back a frame with another white daisy piece. It's an unnecessary step, but I like my layouts to be super sturdy. But with this particular frame being 11 by 11, I would normally be lazy and use my Air Touch adhesive, Tombow adhesive, because it's fast, it's easy, it's convenient, and I would use that, but I'm actually going to use some liquid Tombow on the frame because I feel like with that 11 by 11 base, it will go right over the top of this frame, and it doesn't matter what the layout looks like on the back because that will be covered up in your album, and I can put this 11 by 11 bluebird piece right over the top and then mount the 10.5 by 10.5 white daisy on the top of that, and it will be a perfect colorful layered base, and it's going to look great. So we're just going to do that on both pages. And I love framing. So some people, if you're a little more frugal and you don't want to have as many layers, or you just don't like the layered look, you can go directly on the frame. The only problem with going directly on the frame is the 10.5-inch piece, base piece, will be too it won't be too small. I think you could actually fit it on a 1-inch frame. Actually, you could go as low as 10.25 inches. So you could actually put that, that white daisy piece directly on the periwinkle wash piece, and it would work just fine. I like the layered look. I think having that little edge around pieces, and I like to do that also with photo mats. I'm a person who loves to do photo mats as well. So now we're just going ahead and getting that other page on and put together, and then it will be time to add the photos and embellish. So I love showing different uses for workshops. So even though this Cape Cod is beach and sea and sort of vacation-y, by adding the splish splash title, you could do so many things. That would go with lake, that would go with river, that would go with swimming pool. It would even go with bathtub. Right now, I'm just taking the tip of my microtip scissors along the edge of the white daisy. So I like to use the Fiskars paper trimmer. I like to use our aluminum rail as well as our wire Fiskars trimmer. I love both of them, but our replacement blades were back ordered for a while, so mine got a little bit dull. So the white daisy paper sometimes get what I call little fuzzy edges, and if you just take the tip of your microtip scissors along those pieces, it pulls those fuzzy edges off with no problem whatsoever. Now it's time to look at the photos. So the photos I've chosen are from last week, 2 of our 8 grandchildren. This is Waylon James and Claire Adeline at the swimming pool. So I'm kind of grouping my photos a little bit into a little bit of a series. So I have Waylon James on the left where he's splish splashing in the water, and then he's standing like a big boy against the pool. And then maybe a focal photo of Waylon and Claire in the center on the right page, and then 2 of Claire on either side. Then I have these small photos here, the 2x2, and I thought it would be really, really cute to make them into little Polaroids. So I believe I did 2 1/4 by 2 3/4 for those Polaroids. And I just think it's so, so cute to maybe make it look like little Polaroids laying around, and then I can actually do the journaling on the bottom of the Polaroid since it's such a large title across both pages. Now, I am never afraid of 2x2 photos. I do use an Epson PictureMate 400 and an app called Fit to Size. Gosh, let me look at that really quick. Print to Size. I don't know why I always mess up the name of that app. It's called Print to Size, and it allows you to do 2x2, 1x1, even if you wanted to go that small, 1x1, 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, 4x6, 5x7, and any combination in between, even something odd like a 3x5. And you can actually use your fingers on your phone to stretch the photos. You can still crop the photos, but what I love is it keeps the proportion of the photo size. Even though you're going down to a 2x2, you know how a lot of apps or a lot of printers, you end up having to cut off an arm or cut off some scenery, or this app actually allows you to shrink it and keep the dimensions. So when you look at these 2x2 photos of Claire and Waylon, I feel like they tell the story just as well. They add so much to a page to just be able to help you add additional photo opportunities. So if you look at the 4x4s, the 3x4, the 3x3, and all of the 2x2s, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, let's see, 5 plus 11 photo opportunities in a 2-page layout is amazing. And so now I'm just arranging this photo of Waylon James, and a trend right now is actually to overlap similar photos. So it bothers some people when a full photo doesn't show, but these 2 pictures of Waylon, I love the photo on the left because he's all like a little alligator, like kicking his feet, and then he's trying to put his face down in the water in the second photo. So I don't really need to see his feet, and it's a very similar photo. So I can toggle those to the left and create space for the photo where he's standing up like a big boy. On the right page then, maybe making the Waylon and Claire the center focal point, and then Claire with her goggles, and then her doing her little tricks on the right. So I have 4x4, 4x4, 3x4. On the right page, I have 4x4, 4x4, 3x3, and then all across the top is the Polaroids on the 2x2. So back to my apps. So I'm speeding this portion up just a little bit because it took longer than I thought, because I actually decided to add photo mats. And so I'm kind of taking my time and thinking about pulling in some pattern paper. And I felt like it was a little bit too busy for some of the patterns. And so I ended up loving the white daisy photo frames. So you could do 1/8 inch frames or 1/4 inch frames. I went with 1/4 inch. So like if it was a 4x4 photo, I went 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. If it was a 3x3 photo, I went 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I'm actually taking the time now to cut those photo mats that I didn't have prepared. Sometimes I'm 100% sure I'm not going to do something, but it just gives it a finished look. Had I known that I was going to want the white mats, I do have an option on my my Epson printer to be able to have that white border. And so I could have printed my photos that way instead of having them without the border, and it would have saved me being, not having to get those photo mats. But there's a couple ladies, and I've mentioned them several times on several different videos, that are YouTube influencers and also makers like me on YouTube. And I am not an influencer, and I don't have the experience that these ladies have, but I have made reference to each of them having a video about this particular printer and the different apps they use for photo organization, as well as for printing to this particular, with this particular printer, and I could not reinvent the wheel. They both did such an incredible job on their videos describing the printer, showing how it works, showing how the apps work with them and why they use them, that I could never reduplicate those videos and do as good of a job. So I'm going to link those in the description here again, so that if you want to check both of those ladies out, it is Jama Mommy and Erin Jacobson. And those are two ladies that have a lot of YouTube experience and have been doing videos for quite a few years now, and have created great videos on that photo printer, and I love it. Now, I do have a selfie printer, a Canon selfie, and it had its season with me, and I did love it, but this has taken my photo printing to a whole new level, and it's really helped me out a lot in printing the exact right size. And I love that you can take a 5x7 photo paper, and you can put several photos on that and squeeze lots of little ones and bigger ones onto that 5x7, or even onto a 4x6. If I want to do a 4x4 on a 4x6 photo paper and then do two 2x2s across the bottom, I totally have the option to do that and really maximize how I use it. I also then print only the photos I need. I used to go to photo printing places and print like hundreds of photos because I wasn't exactly sure which ones I was going to use. This printer allows me to print just the photos I'm going to use on a specific layout without waste. So even though you're paying a little bit more for photo paper, it actually really averages out to be very reasonable, considering how many photos I don't have lying around and that I don't waste, because I end up throwing away half of them that are duplicates, and so on and so forth. So now I've arranged my photos on the bottom the way that I want, and I am clustering the little Polaroids to the top. So I did a cluster of 2 of Waylon on the left, the one of Claire Bear on her towel on the right, and then her 2 two of her photos doing her tricks on the upper right. And then now that the photos are in place, it's all about embellishing. And as usual, if you've been following me for my short time, the last 3 months or so, for my short time debuting on YouTube more consistently, you know that I often take more time than I should on my embellishments. So I've sped up the video on that portion. And what I had to work with was basically stickers from the sticker sheet, craft die cuts from the embellishment kit, white die cuts from the embellishment kit, and clear blue, not quite clear, but kind of an iridescent blue acrylic shape. And so I actually felt like with all the color across the center that I wanted to use more muted embellishments. So most of the die cuts on the die cut sheet are larger, but there's some half circles on the punch out sheets that I would like to use. And then there's also on the sticker sheet some word stickers that I think I could make work. I've already got my title, so I don't need the title stickers off of the sticker sheet. And then out of the embellishment kit, I really feel like the craft are going to lend itself better to this layout. And I don't mind that it's beachy. If you're using some beachy embellishments with a swimming pool theme, it goes great. Don't overthink it. I think about, even out of all of my 8 grandkids, like their swimming suits. There's tropical flowers on swimming suits, on swimming trunks. There's anchors. There are sometimes palm trees on their swimming suits. There are all kinds of floaties and different things that might be in the pictures that have tropical themes on them, like flip-flops and other tropical themes, in flourishes that are tropical. So don't overthink that, oh no, that's so beachy, I can't do pool or river or anything like that. Water is water, and it will be super cute with some of those beachy elements as well. So I really want to use some of the craft ferns. I think just having ferns coming out of photos is super cute. I can add those to some of those half circles. They do have some coral in there. They have craft seashells. They have craft starfish. I think the stars will work great. So typically, if you've followed close to my heart for a while, you know about using series of 3, the rules of 3, or visual triangles. So I don't quite accomplish the visual triangles here today, but I do believe that the title, the large title across the center, draws attention to the photos on the top and the bottom. So visual triangles are designed so that you create triangles of 3 embellishments around your photos so that it draws attention to what you want to draw attention to. Whether it be the photos or your journaling story, you're kind of creating clusters of 3. So I didn't really get a cluster of 3 on the left page, but I sort of worked in a diagonal from the lower right up to the upper left. I do end up removing that seahorse because I felt like it was a little distracting. I love that seahorse, but I'll reserve that for a little later because I'll be using this and creating a full 12-page workshop with it. So this will just be one layout that I've decided to highlight. Basically, the reason I did this pool layout was because some of my paper crafters say, hey, what if we don't have beach? How are we going to use a beach theme when we don't have beach? And I feel like I've covered that where you can relax a little bit. Like I think back to different themes that we've had that say have unicorns. And maybe I haven't had anything with a unicorn, but it's just a cute little girl icon that doing a little girl page, if there's unicorns in it, even if the photos have nothing to do with unicorns, it's adorable. Or maybe there's unicorn pajamas. So you can find ways to tie themes in without overthinking it too much. And so I will probably use the seahorse later, but now you can sort of see how I've used the flourishes and the stars, and I'm going up from the lower right to the upper left. That does sort of create a line and help your eye go across those photos from the lower right to the upper left. On the right page, I get a little closer to a visual triangle with the stars in the middle and the circle clusters up at the top and then a little bit to the right. I added the Paradise Found sticker on Waylon's photo because I feel like little kids don't care if they're on an island. They absolutely feel like the swimming pool is paradise. If you've created with me today, please share and tag me in the video. I would love to see. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and happy scrapping, everyone. Have a great day.